and welcome to Drunk on Tea. Today I'm going to show you how I painted up this classic Khorne Daemon model. To start with, I primed it in white, as this will give us a bright colour to start from to help give us that classic retro look. First of all, I'm coming in with blood red from the Warcolours Nostalgia 94 line, and I'm painting all of the skin on the model. This will take a couple of coats to get a good solid base cover, but work your way around the model and give all of the skin 2 or 3 coats of blood red. After a few coats, you can see we have a really nice solid cover on all of that skin. Next, I'm coming in with Nuln oil and I'm going to shade all of the skin. Make sure you work this into all of the recesses on the model to add that definition to the skin. Once the shade has dried, you can see it's added some definition to that skin. Now I'm coming back in with blood red again. This time, just paint the areas where the shade didn't settle, leaving that Nuln oil in the recesses. For example, with this muscle on his arm here, I'm putting it on the raised areas, leaving the shade in the recesses and then coming in with blood red again on the other side. As this is a thin paint, it will allow some of that shade to show through, really helping to add different tones to the model. So just take your time, work your way around the model, putting some blood red on all the areas where the shade didn't settle. With that applied, you can see it's really brought some brightness back to the model. Now I'm coming in with a 70-30 mix of blood red and skull white. This will brighten up the red just a bit, but without turning it into a pink colour. For this step, I'm placing a thin layer of this mix in the middle of everywhere that we just placed the blood red to build up that highlight. With that mix applied, you can see it's really starting to build up that highlight on the skin. Next, I'm coming in with some Fire Dragon Bite, and I'm adding this like an edge highlight to the skin. So all of the sharpest points and where the light would catch, I'm painting a thin line of Fire Dragon Bite. It's for places like here, around the cheeks and the mouth, and the sharpest points to all of the muscles. I'm just adding that thin edge highlight of Fire Dragon Bite to act like a highlight. And with that applied, the skin is now finished. Now I'm coming in with some skull white, and I'm going to paint over anything that may have got some red on it from the previous steps and bringing it all back to a solid white, giving us an even base cover for the rest of the colours. So just work your way around the model, bringing everything back to a solid white. With that white applied, we have a solid colour now for the rest of the paints we're going to apply. Next, I'm coming in with some Sunburst Yellow, also from the Warcolours Nostalgia line. I'm going to paint everything that I want to be gold. So it's things like the bracelet here, the crossguard on his sword, and he has a belt as well. So make sure you catch all of those details with some Avalan Sunset. With that applied, we have the base down now for that retro gold colour. So now I'm coming in with Flesh Wash, and I'm going to shade all of that yellow. This will add some definition and help bring it to that classic gold look. With the wash applied, you can see it's really brought the yellow down in brightness a little bit. Now I'm coming in with Chaos Black, and with this I'm going to paint everything we want to be black. So that's the horns on his head, as well as the handle to his sword, and the little bit of fabric hanging between his legs. He also has some scales in some places on his back, so make sure you catch all of this with a couple of coats of black. With that black applied, we've really started to bring the blood letter together. Now with Caliban Green, I'm going to paint his sword and the tassels hanging from it. Off of a white base coat, this may take a couple of coats, but just take your time, work the paint into all of the skulls on the blade, and make sure you build up to a nice solid cover of Caliban Green. After a couple of coats, you can see we've got a really nice deep green colour to that sword. There is just one base colour left to apply now, and that's Lead Belcher. For this, I'm just going to apply it on the earrings here, as well as the collar going around his neck. So just catch these with a coat of Lead Belcher. With the Lead Belcher applied, the next step is to apply some more shades. So I'm coming in with Known Oil again, and I'm shading the sword and the tassels, as well as the collar and earring as well. So make sure you catch all of these with some Known Oil. And now I'm coming in with some flesh wash again, and I'm applying this all over the skull at the bottom of the sword and the claws on his feet. This will stain the white and give us a nice looking bone colour. If you're enjoying the video, please press like. If you want more videos, press the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. With those shades now dry, you can see it's added some definition to the sword and given the skull and claws a really good bone colour. Now I'm coming in with some Mechanica Standard Grey, and I'm going to highlight the black, starting by adding some lines to the handle of the sword and painting a highlight to all of the ridges on the horns as well. For the fabric, I'm giving a chunky edge highlight around all of the creases of the fabric. And for the scales, I'm just catching the edges with a thin line of Mechanica Standard Grey. With that applied, you can see it started to add some interest to the black. Next, I'm coming in with Dawnstone, and with this I'm painting a thin line inside the previous grey on the sword handle and on the fabric. Keep these lines nice and thin and apply a thin edge highlight within the previous layer of Mechanica Standard Grey with some Dawnstone. With that Dawnstone applied, the black is now highlighted. Now I'm coming in with some Avalan Sunset, and I'm going to paint the eyes. So for this I'm applying a thin layer of Avalan Sunset into the recesses of the eye socket. Then I'm coming in with some black, and I'm adding a vertical line through the middle of that yellow to act like a pupil and create a demonic look to the eyes. With the eyes painted, the model is really starting to come together and look like a demon of Khorne. Now I'm coming in with some Uriel yellow, and with this I'm going to start highlighting the gold. So apply a chunky edge highlight to the bracelet, the crossguard and his belt with a thin layer of Uriel yellow. With that layer applied, the gold is starting to get that classic gold look. Now I'm coming in with some Flash Gits yellow, and with this I'm going to apply an edge highlight along everything that we want to be gold. Try and keep this within the previous highlight, and give all of the gold an edge highlight of Flash Gits yellow. That's all of the gold highlighted, and as you can see, it's really given it that retro 4th edition fantasy look. Next I'm coming in with some Screaming Skull, and with this I'm going to highlight everything that's bone. So that's things like the skull at the end of his sword, where you want to catch the most raised details like around the eyes, and on his claws add a thin line at the top of each one. With the bone highlighted, there's only a couple of things left to highlight on the bloodletter now. To highlight the sword, I'm coming in with some War flesh, and with this I'm applying a chunky highlight along the edges and ridges of the blade, as well as catching the skulls that are on the sword. At this stage, I'm also going to highlight the tassels with some wire flesh as well. With that first highlight applied, we've started to add a bit of demonic glow to the sword. Now I'm coming in with some warpstone glow, and for this I'm applying it as an edge highlight along all of the edges of the blade, keeping it within our previous layer. I'm also adding it to the skulls as well, to help give them a ghostly appearance. With the warpstone glow applied, you can see it's really brought out the edges to the blade and added some nice highlights. But there is one more step left to go. I'm coming in with some moot green, and I'm applying this as a spot highlight on all of the sharpest points of the sword. So here at the tip and around the skulls. Also, at any sharp points as well, just add a small spot of moot green. Now with the sword highlighted, there is just one thing left to do, and that's highlight the silver. So I'm coming in with some Stormhost silver, and with this I'm just catching the sharpest points of the earring and the collar to make it look like they're catching the light. And that is how to paint up a retro looking Khorne bloodletter. Please let me know in the comments below if you enjoy painting in a retro style. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and happy painting.